This is a Pyramid One International Network presentation. Hi, and welcome to Pyramid One World Radio. My guest today is Meera Shah, a confidence and transformation coach, thought leader, trainer, speaker, and importantly, a catalyst for positive change. Meera is dedicated to bringing out the best in all of you and to help you to reach your highest potential. Meera mainly works with leaders, professionals, business owners, and entrepreneurs. If you are ready to step into a meaningful and successful life, deeply commit to and believe in yourself, or need to remove any limiting blocks, then Meera would love to help you. She uses all her experience and techniques combined with a high level of intuition to help you move forward. Meera's mission is to support the creation of as many meaningful and purpose-led successful businesses and lives as she can. Are you ready to step into a new life? If you are ready to move forward, she would love to hear from you. Contact her for an initial discussion, and you can send her mail at Meera, M-E-E-R-A, at unlimitedtransformations.com. Now, let me introduce to you, to the world, a great lady. Her name is Meera Shah. Oh, yeah. We are live. You can take your mute off now and you're on. There we go. I see you smiling.
Hi, Bob. Thank you so much for having me on this show. I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, there you go. See, I saw a sort of smile coming from there, and I said, okay, this lady's ready to rip.
Yay. I am indeed.
I'm serious. I mean, let me just so that everybody that's watching this right now, and there's a whole lot. This kind of show is something that everybody, after a pandemic, after all the things that have happened, business failures left and right, people who wanted to get into business but now are out of business, people who need help. It's like not a shot in the arm, it's a kick in the butt. It's like, hey, let's get this done. Let's get this thing going. This is the kind of person you need to get your business going and to get you going. Just like I said, are you ready? Are you?
And really, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think a lot of people were thinking, yeah, I should do something different. I need to step up. I need to make some changes. I'm unhappy, and we go along. And the pandemic has just, anybody who's been struggling, who's been unhappy, and even if you didn't have those things going on, I've seen so many people, myself included, I haven't escaped it either. Literally, the pandemic has just escalated and fast-tracked everything. And I just think more and more people are questioning what they're doing, why they're doing it, the meaning of doing it, and stepping into their meaning, their purpose, and their resilience to bring forward a part of themselves that they deeply care about, and that's really important to them. Myself included, I had lots of health issues and contract changes last year. So I know all the clients I work with are just either they've been brought to this by the pandemic where they've lost their job, or they've just questioned after being home for so long, do I want to go back to what I was doing, all the travel, the work? And my business was doing okay, but after the pandemic, I don't know how it's going to go. So I think I need to pivot. I need to make that change that actually I always knew I needed to make at the back of my mind. But really now the pandemic has brought everything forward, and it's asking us to be a lot stronger than we were before.
You
So
know,
I invite everybody to get into that brain of thought and see this as a positive catalyst for change.
as I was going to say, when we started this whole thing, what was it, like 20, 21 months ago? Somewhere.
Yeah.
If we when we started this whole thing, nobody knew what was coming. So there was fear. There was fear. Between the media and what we were watching, there was fear. Fear, of course, takes everything out of you. You just don't want to do anything. You don't want to go ahead. You don't want to move. You don't want to go outside. I mean, I see people today, right now, in fact, yesterday, and that if they want something, if they're getting something delivered to their home, the only thing you see come out of the door is an arm.
Oh, wow.
I am
People are
kidding.
still really scared, are they?
I am not kidding. This is what this whole thing between the media and ourselves, our own fear of ourselves and what we do, because there are people that have underlying issues, and it could be anything. It could be mental, could be physical, one of the two. So of course, this fear has taken everybody to a level that frequency wise, it's so low, it's not funny. So what they have to do is they have to start looking forward, not looking backwards. Backwards is over. This is the now. So as long as you live in the now, you'll be fine. And what you're telling people is literally to their face, it's about time to get up and start running.
It really is time. I mean, you're right. That fear paralyzed so many people into a point of just freeze of, I don't know which way to move. I don't know whether to move forward. I don't know how this is going to play out. And of course, everything about your safety is heightened.
Yeah.
I know people are going to bed, completely scared, and they're not getting even a decent night's sleep, which actually can be quite healing and the media does not help. Literally, I don't really watch a lot of negative media, and I stopped watching a lot of the pandemic news because already there's so much fear. And then all they were doing was counting the number of deaths, how hospitals didn't have oxygen, and that's the last. You're already in fear, your business has failed, you don't know if you're safe. And then you watch all these horrible images on TV, you read these horrible stats, and then you take that to bed with you.
Hmm.
It's no wonder people are paralyzed. So it's like, oh, then imagine what your brain's like before you go to bed. So imagine what your brain's going to be thinking of all night. It
Oatmeal.
was just awful. It really was awful. And everybody just went into the freeze, not knowing whether to go left, right, center. But I do believe, now it is time that to put that behind us and to take the learnings of whatever we've learned, whatever you've questioned. And I don't believe there's literally anybody who hasn't questioned something. Most people have had really some deep realizations, some deep physical and mental knockbacks, should I say. They say, relationship breakdowns are at the highest. Of course, financial stress is at the highest.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah. And so all sorts of stress are at the highest. However, it really is time to now go, I need to come out of the mode of freeze and I need to start taking action. And really, whatever level you're at, to go from 0 to 100 is not possible. So if you had completely frozen into your fear, into your stress, and you couldn't move, that's okay. Then we start taking small daily steps, and then the body starts moving again, the mind starts moving again, and then bit by bit you kind of strengthen. But what I say is, as we strengthen bit by bit, We do it with a different consciousness, a different awareness of who we are, what's important, and we bring this whole new meaning, purpose, awareness into the next thing that we do.
And that's where your program comes in.
That's where my program comes in. So I took about 2 or 3 different things, all within the program. So touched upon meaning and purpose, and I think more and more people are questioning meaning and purpose. I talk about something called conscious businesses, and if you're running a business, you really need to think about the purpose of your business, who it's helping, and really being a conscious business. And there's a whole thing about the new millennials, and it's already happening now. But what they're saying is millennials are going to want to work from and buy from conscious companies. So if you're not one of those conscious companies, chances are the next generation isn't really going to want to buy from you or work from you. So it's not even, I don't think it's going to be a nice to have. I think it's going to become really essential. So you should start that and have that as one of your key values about your business. And of course, what you are is your business. So you should have that as a value about yourself as well as your business. And think about what's your purpose, what you care about, doing the right things, helping the planet, really, planet and people. And a lot of people don't know what conscious companies are, so I'll just clarify. Conscious companies are companies that talk about the 3 P's, which is people, planet, and profit in equal measure. So it's not to say we don't look after our profit, because obviously we're in business and that's a given. So profit's a big part of it, but we don't do it. In the past, companies have done it at the cost of the planet or at the cost of people. And now we're saying, no, the planet and people are equally important to us. And so all 3 are going to be at the heart of our business. And it's not just lip service. It's really what you believe, what you feel, what you talk, how you think, and every decision you make, you really align that to those 3 P's of consciousness. And I think actually it will make everything, it will make the planet better. Of course, people will want to buy from you. But actually, what I have seen is that purpose-led companies are starting to actually make more money. So you might find that you come up with some really creative ways of making profit that are really sustainable, but actually you'll end up making more profit, because I think the wave of people buying from, ethical companies, all that's really on trend right now. So I really think you need to dig deep and really bring your heart and all your values to the table, examine them, and then lead from them. I see that as the next way.
It's funny you say that, because there's so much going on right now with this climate meeting that's going on. I believe
very topical.
Right north of you. But, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, she's in England, so we're like 6 hours away from each other. So she already had her coffee. I didn't.
Yeah, hope you all got that from the accent. But if you didn't, I'm all the way in London.
Yeah, but right, exactly. And what you're talking about now is people who are businesses that are in the trend. In other words, and the trend right now is to operate clean, don't cheat, make money, but not, don't put people to the ground in it by taking all their money. The way things are going right now, your prices and our prices at this particular time, another scare tactic, I think. But our president kind of messed things up a little bit. But leaving that aside, I'll leave that for another show. But the idea of the thing is that people are not finding themselves able to afford things they could afford before. And I don't care what they're making. They could be making anything. You can have somebody making $100,000, or you can have somebody making $20,000. The things that they bought in those categories are going out of sight. They're going crazy. The prices are going so high. So the businesses would be, and tell me whether I'm right or not, the people or the businesses, the big business, we're talking to big corporations, that keep their costs at an affordable market margin, that people can afford them. those are probably the companies that people are going to cater to or like better because they're not trying to help them. They're making them, how can I say it so it's easy? Um, they're making their availability of their product, whatever the product is, more available to the people who are having a hard time.
That's correct. And I think that's really important because they are looking after people in essence by saying, look, how can we still keep our costs low? Can we absorb some of those costs? And what I find is that when we're challenged, humans are incredible. We come up with some really creative solutions to keep costs down. It could take a bit of time, but we are creative creatures, so we will find ways to make it affordable. I don't buy into the fear of we can't come up with creative solutions to keep it low cost. So I think there's a couple of things. I think companies need to not pass on everything to the consumers. And I think the companies that don't do that, you're right, are the ones that people are going to favorably want to buy from.
Buy
The
from.
other thing I say to people is also maybe you need to actually look at what you're buying, how you're spending, and maybe you need to make some cutbacks and make some value choices about maybe actually the way you were living. And all of us, me included, there's a lot of waste on the planet by each individual person. And actually, if we could all just cut back that little bit and, do value things but do less, then actually that helps you as well. So I think we can all look at what we're doing and where we can actually rationalize or cut back ourselves. And I think that's useful for you personally and also for the planet both. And I also think that, we're just coming out of the pandemic. It's still hard. I don't know what it's fully like in the US. I know in the UK, we're actually on our booster jab now. The third jab's coming out. So literally everything's opened up again. Touch wood, we don't end up in another lockdown. Remains to be seen how the numbers have started going up again. So remains to be seen. But assuming I don't think we're going to full lockdown, but assuming things stay open as they are, all the government help is pretty much stopped now. So it is time to go back to business as normal. That's the signal when, I don't know how it's in the US, but here all the government help stopped at the end of September. So now it's like, right, freeze time is over.
Do you have mandates in England?
We don't anymore. We used to have, you mean things like wearing masks
And
and
you must get a shot or you can't work.
so we don't have any more mandates. The companies, I don't know the legal policies around that. I know some companies are saying you can come in, but you need to be vaxxed, or if you're not vaxxed, then we do a
Test.
daily lateral flow test.
Mhm.
There are some options. I went to the cinema last week, so 007. And yay, that's the latest fun thing going on in the UK. So people are back in the cinemas to watch 007. But basically, some of the cinemas, especially in Ireland, it didn't say it in the UK, but was saying you need to bring some proof of either that you've been double vaxxed or that you've done a lateral flow test in the last 48 hours. So you're having to show proof of you've tested yourself and you're safe. And I think it's going to happen more and more. It's not yet mandated in, restaurants and workplaces, but I think some workplaces are starting to introduce it. I know somebody who's a teacher, and basically she has to do a lateral flow test. All the teachers have to do it twice a week at the minute. I imagine if numbers go up, they might have to do it more frequently.
Oh, good. My goodness. Here in the United States, of course, every state is different. So, for instance, if you're in California right now, everything is mandated. Everything. You
All
can't
right.
go. You can't go anywhere unless you got a little card that says you got your vaccination.
So what happens if you're an anti-vaxxer?
Uh, they don't go. They don't go
Move
out
out
to.
of California.
They don't. Yeah. They don't go anywhere. I mean, you
That's
can't do anything.
insane.
In New York, it's very, very similar. So many people are moving, believe it or not. I mean, studio is in Florida, but we see people flowing. I mean, literally a river of people coming from like New York and Virginia and things like that. And all these people, this is another reason why you and I are good talking together. These are business people that had businesses in very large cities. And during the pandemic, they learned how to use or do their business from home. So now they said, I am not like they have maybe an apartment, I don't know, maybe a little bit bigger than the studio. but but no, I'm serious. I mean, some of them are like real small, like 75
I've
by
seen the New
50.
York
Yeah,
ones. It's
they're
insane.
small. But they the prices are now up to like $4,000 to $5,000 a month
Gosh,
for
for
this
rent
type of little thing. So of course, down here in Florida, for I don't know, for $1,000, you can get a 3 bedroom apartment.
and great
Now,
weather.
yeah, and great weather. Yeah, we have about 2 weeks of winter. That's about it.
Amazing,
And
amazing.
the rest of the time, it's during the winter season, it's maybe anywhere between 50 and 60 and up from that. That's as low as it gets down here. So you're good in a hoodie year round, you know,
Right.
and from anywhere from maybe April to September, October, it's 90, 80, 90 in that ballpark somewhere, with your afternoon thunderstorm.
Gosh.
So I mean, that's the way it is. So of course, people are moving to where they can do business better. They are opening up. You are right. People are opening up. They're getting out of the places that are not opening to them.
And I think that's the whole thing. I think the pandemic has shown us actually life in a different way to what we were used to. Maybe we would have never stopped and thought about it. Maybe we would have never had the chance. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all the fear and all that wasn't hard to get through. And, people have lost loved ones and all sorts of physical things. But the silver lining is that it's made us pause. It's made us actually think of doing things in a different way. It's forced us to do things in a different way. My brother works for a company and his boss would never let them work from home. Suddenly he had to let them work from home 5 days a week. And now the question is, well, if it's worked all this time, why do we need to come in?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
everything's just been shaken up and it's for the better, right? I think a lot of us, me included, a lot of us were leading robotic lives of I have to be in the office 9 to 5, and then I come back and then I work out and then I have dinner and then I go to bed and it's like a hamster on a wheel day in, day out. And I think working from home or being in different places has shown people actually without that travel time, without the stress of being in the office, life can be quite different and you get a lot of personal time added back into your life. And it's just so much more rewarding.
well, look at all this green climate stuff, climates, and everything that's going on. Okay, now if you don't get millions of people driving to work and driving home and sitting in traffic for hours and hours and hours, guess how much pollution you're ending?
I know, right? You're
See?
helping the
So
planet so
yeah.
much.
So if you want to do something about green, don't spend money. Just don't drive. During that time, they did a study during the pandemic when it first began that they actually took satellite pictures of actually they can see pollution and things. It was like cut by like 75% during that time. I mean, can
Wow.
you imagine? Now they want to end all this stuff. First of all, America is supposed to be the leader in all this climate stuff and everything, but what they don't get through their heads, and businesses don't get it either. I don't think. If they do, they have to come out and say it more. But we are not the only one that pollutes anything. There's countries. There's over 137. Well, we're heard in the 32. There are 132 countries. So there's even more than that they pollute. Take China, for instance. They're the worst. They're right. They're number one for
Yeah.
polluting. Do they care? Are they coming to the meeting? No. And I mean, the world turns, and the atmosphere turns. We turn under the atmosphere. So everything that goes anywhere, it goes from west to east. So everything China does comes onto America. So what are they? How are they going to clean up America? They could clean up America to zero pollution, and we'd still get everybody else's.
I
The
know.
whole planet has to be into this, not
Yeah,
just.
but I think we just have to remember that even I get this thing with the pandemic when I'm trying to coach people or businesses, and people say, well, I'm one person, I'm one business, what difference am I going to make? Because a lot of people don't care, and you know and the thing is, every change, every revolution starts small. Actually, each person can make a difference. I really want to highlight that. And I really want people to think that when we think like my little contribution isn't significant or it doesn't matter, it really, really is. So I'll use the example of plastic because I think now that's a very common example. Each person who doesn't use a plastic bottle, you might think I'm just one person. There's billions of people throwing plastic all around the world. But each person that doesn't do it, maybe you don't know, but you make a small difference, and then you inspire another few, and then they inspire another few, and that's how it grows. Eventually, there's a tipping point where more people are doing it than less. So never underestimate the power you can have as an individual on what you do, the people around you, the people you meet, the influence you can have. They might take a bit of time to catch up, but always try and be one of the first leaders, the first change makers. You want to be a change maker rather than a follower, really. And you can, and I'm sure you've heard about the butterfly effect. I quote that quite a lot. Have you heard of so butterfly flapping, it's wings in one part of the world can cause a typhoon in the other. If you use that analogy, you just don't know when the momentum picks up, who you can inspire, and you feel good about the values you live by, actually. So whilst you think it doesn't matter on so many different levels, on an energetic, on an emotional, on a physical, on a community level, every small bit starts adding up. So I think if people think, purpose, value, conscious business, not everyone's on board. They're not. But be the follow, be the kind of change makers of that trend and lead the way. I really say, and you feel good when you're leading the way with something. You feel like you're not just catching up and following people. You are the change maker, and that mindset is very different. So if you can adopt that, that's like really, really cool.
It's funny though. You should say that about starting somewhere. I mean, you take companies like Microsoft. Okay, it started in a garage. I
There
mean,
you go.
look, there is every single. All you need is a catalyst, something to, like you said, to start something. And you don't
That's
have to convince anybody because everybody already knows that there's a problem in whatever you're doing. You're just the one that's telling them, hey, you got to look at this. You got to, perspective wise, you have to look at this and you have to see what I'm talking about. And then all of a sudden it works on the mind. I mean, it's automatically something in it that people will go, well, okay. Maybe they won't go the first time. Businesses do this all the time. I mean, I've given lectures and that to like Capital One and other countries and that about mortgage business years ago. And that when I was in the mortgage business, it was, they kind of sort of like, well, okay, we're going to do that. And 2 weeks later, and they get a call. Yeah, we're ready. You know, I mean, this is the kind of thing, like you said, it's going to be people that are going to come into what you're doing for people and for business is the most important thing we got going for us right now.
It's
In
our
this,
mindset. We're incredible. What normally stops us is our mindset, our fears. And once we get past that and we decide, I'm gonna give this a go with my heart, my soul, and my resilience, is irrespective of what's going on out there, it's irrespective of how scared I am, irrespective of whether I think it's going to work or not, how difficult it's going to be. If you change that to, I'm going to give this my heart and soul and I'm going to go for it, and eventually it's going to work and I'll make it work one way or another, you know what? You will.
you
You
sent
will.
me. you sent me five, the picture of five things.
I did. So
And
let's go through a transformation journey. And I'll
yeah,
just, yeah.
I'm telling you, I have gone through this, and I was like, yeah, it was like, it was good. The one you have, the first one you have is call to improve, and it does say which part of your life is calling you to change. Just that line sets, sets the how would you say? You're painting a picture, so I'm going to set the picture. Right there, you're saying it's time to change. We can change. All of us can change. And when I read through all of your five things for transition, I mean, this was so good. So go ahead, tell everybody.
And you
And by
can
the way,
see how it would work because it's step by step and it's obvious, but it's not stuff that we actually pause and take the time to think about.
oh,
That's what is really required. So the first step is the call to improve. As Bob says, which part of your life is calling you to change? So I think after the pandemic, it's going to be multiple things. It could be a relationships, it could be a health, it could be a wealth, it could be a combination of all of those, or it could be something specific like I'm tired of working and I want to set my own business up, or it could be I want to set up a side hustle, which is becoming a very big thing at the minute because people don't want to quite jump fully. And I'm all supportive of side hustles, by the way. So what is it that's calling you in your life to improve? Either you're really unhappy, or you've outgrown something, or there's a physical nudge. There'll be something. There'll be something where you think, oh God, I need to look at that part of my life and I need to do something about it. So really just think about it. It could be you're the master of your life, so you know which bits. And sometimes it's multiple things and nothing is fully in isolation. I often feel like there could be two or three things, and if you fix one, the other ones naturally will improve and you will naturally work on those anyway. So do answer the call to improve. I know a lot of people are unhappy, or they just put their head in the sand and hope the problem will go away. You know what? Lean into the problem. It gives you a better night's sleep. It builds out your fight, and it's never as bad as you think. So just lean into the problem. Don't just pray that it goes away. Often what I find is that actually the problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it doesn't really go away. So you might as well lean into it and address it. And then I say, before you then jump into a transformation journey, you need to then mentally, once you've thought about what you want to change, there's a bit of a mental preparation. It's like, do you care enough to change? Are all of us have a tendency to slip back to what we've been doing before, especially when it gets hard and things take longer than we think to change. So then in those moments, are you just going to give up and go back to what was? And that's really, really easy to do. So we need to just kind of have some mental prep of what is the pain of this thing and why is it important to change it? And what's the commitment to change it? Because without that, yeah, it's easy to just go, oh, you know what, this isn't working, or I can't, I don't know, the resilience just goes. So you really need to be committed fully. And then I also talk about, it is going to ask you to change your thinking and your habits. Those are the two things it really needs to change. And I'll talk about it when I come to step 4. But are you willing to change some of your thinking and your habits? Because the definition of insanity: do the same thing and expect different results. It's not going to happen. So if you want different results, you are going to have to do something a little bit different. But that's exciting, right? The reason you've got that problem is probably because you've outgrown something. And transformations, by the way, we don't just transform once in our life. We continuously transform. We always have cycles in life. It's like you start and then you develop something and then you flourish. And then you outgrow it, and then it's time to start a new cycle, and then you go through that growth and it comes to an end, and then it's time to start a new cycle. So transformations are very normal. It's just that sometimes we do them unconsciously, and I think when we do them consciously, we gain so much more value and more reward from it. So then the third step is all about setting goals. So obviously what I say is you need a really big stretching goal, one that you're going to commit to, and one that is going to change your life significantly so that you can commit to it. Because if it's not going to change your life or improve your life significantly, if it gets tough again, you're just going to give up. It needs to be pretty big. And one of the things we do is we look at when you've overcome something in the past to remind you what you're made of and how good you felt when you overcame it. And then we talk about 10 small things you're going to change straight away. And those 10 things start building the habit, the action habit, start building the positive habit, and start making you realize, gosh, yeah, I'd forgotten how good it is to achieve things, and I can do all these things. And it reminds you of how cool that feels before we go for the big one. So I think that's really important to kind of remind yourself how rewarding it can be.
You also have to feel very comfortable with the situation you're going into. It's an inner self kind of feeling. For instance, I'll give you one, and you're probably heard this all over the place. Your first sale. If you're in the marketing business or the sales business and you make your first sale, the wash that comes over your body and your mind. Oh, I did it.
Absolutely.
But what you're explaining about setting your goals and your mental preparation, these are things that, like, you got one sale, now you need 1,000. Now you have a goal. That's where you go. I got this one. If I can do this, I can do 1,000.
That's so absolutely it.
Yeah, it's a mindset. You have to. Now you're hungry. It's like
now you're hungry, and once you've done one, the thing you thought was impossible is not. Because if you can do one, you can do 10. If you can do 10, you can do 100. If you can do 100, you can do 1,000.
Exactly.
So it's step by step. It's not that day one you're going to do 1,000. Let's be realistic. But once you do the one, you realize the first sale is always the hardest. And once you've done one, you're like, this is how good it feels to make that sale, to get the money, to deliver the service or the product. And then you go for the second one and the third one. And they always say the first one is the hardest. Then the next 10 are the hard. And then once you've kind of got to about 10, 15, the momentum starts to build. So we want to get into the habit of the momentum, because getting to those first 15 is not always easy, as we all know. The beginning is always the hardest, and then there's a momentum that comes and you roll with it. So really, really important.
You're learning too during that time. You're reflecting back to, what did I do that was so right?
Yes, and wrong, because you need to, you're constantly adapting. There'll be things that you think you love, and then your customers will love another part of it. So you'll go, this is the bit that customers love. Actually, it's not the thing I thought they loved. And actually, every single successful business will tell you how many times they pivoted from the first idea. So so don't be too scared to start, because one thing I can guarantee is that you will adapt your idea based on customer feedback, based on research, based on trials. So get out there trialing and feedbacking. Don't perfect your product, because even if you perfect it, you're going to have to change it, because the way it's always in an entrepreneur's head and the way customers want to receive it are always two different things. So it'd be the same idea, but just delivered in a different way. And so I would just say, get your product, that's why they talk about the minimum viable product. Get a draft of a product and get out there researching and trialing your product, and then adapt it to every feedback you get. That's really important.
I was gonna say, relationships are just like that.
Yeah, do share more.
I mean, seriously, when you play this back, listen to what you said. I mean, it's like two people meeting each other for the first time, first sale.
First date, yeah.
You have to keep improving the product. Well, who's the product? You are. It's like, well, people have to understand, and I've said this on the show a million times. Love yourself. If you love yourself, the world will love you. But you have to be confident in yourself first.
I love that analogy about the dating. I'm going to use that.
Well, there you
It's,
go.
it's
It was
I love it, and it's so true
great.
because you might think, oh, I'm really funny, I'm really cool when I do that, and the other person will be like, I really don't like it
I
when
really
you
don't
do
like it.
that. So yeah, exactly. We're constantly getting feedback, aren't we? It doesn't mean they don't like you. It's just that they don't like that particular thing you do. So
Hmm.
it's very good to also distinguish between I don't like you and I don't like that thing you do, because
Right.
the two are
Exactly.
very separate. So I think important not to take that personally. Habits are not who you are; they're just a habit.
Right.
So then the fourth part of it is, once we've done all of that and you kind of got your goal and you're committed to your goal, then we talk about the growth and build. And the growth and build is really, where I talked about it involves deconstruction and reconstruction. So it's kind of where I talk about a lot of the old habits and the thinking you had. You might need to change quite a lot of it or some of it, depending on what's going on. But I use the 3Ps again here, another 3P model. So I say positivity, a positive mindset, practice, so practicing new habits, and then persistence. Persistence is you have to keep trying and you have to do it daily, every single day, multiple times a day until it becomes the norm. So it's finding the right actions, finding the right mindset, and then the persistence is you keep practicing, you keep practicing. Really important. Like if you think about a good way of always with coaching is, if you think about sports people,
Hmm.
they might not be good at a particular thing. Let's say you're a tennis player and you're not good at your left hand. What are you going to do? You're going to stop thinking you're not good at with your left. That's your mindset. And then you're going to practice, but you're not going to practice once. You're going to practice every single day for as many hours or in as many months as it takes, which is the persistence. And that's how you then get your left hand good going. And you can apply that to any part of your life, really.
That's I'm thinking that as you're saying it, I'm saying to myself, okay, I just put it in my right hand.
Yeah, but you can't show up in a tennis match and not have not your left hand. I'm just saying your left stroke, whatever the term
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
But you need your backhand stroke to be good. You cannot only play tennis with a front hand stroke. It might not be your strongest stroke, but it still needs to be good enough to get you to be on the court.
So the people actually, I mean, anybody that's walking on two legs has to be open to change.
Absolutely. You've hit the nail on the head.
There it is. I mean, you have to turn around to yourself and say, "Hey, listen, if I can't do it this way, then I'm going to do it this way. And if that don't work, I'm going to do it this way." Don't stop. Don't stop at like one time you change something, because like you said, the market or the people or their perceive the way they perceive what you're doing changes constantly. It's a 24-hour, 7 days a week thing that goes on. What you have to do is you have to hit the nail on the head somewhere, and all of a sudden you go, "That's it. That's my niche."
That's it. You have to keep going and then it all comes together. You will find it, but you don't give up straight away. That's it.
Mhm.
And you do have to be open to change, because things, I mean, if you look at most entrepreneur stories, it wasn't like the first time they did something, it was hunky dory. There's always they have to try things several times, but they believe so much in what they want to do that doesn't they don't give up every time something doesn't work or every time they hit a hurdle. For them, that's just something to overcome, not something to give up on. It's a mindset.
Mhm.
and and knowing that, what, I mean, look, none of us are perfect and we keep evolving. So if we are going to change our mindset and our habits, it can only be for the better and it can only be good. So be open to change. There's nothing wrong with changing some of the things that are no longer serving you, really.
You know, when you talk about that type of change and then in people, now I keep reverting back to where we are right now. I like to consider now as the spot that we start things from. And most people right now are just coming out of their shell. So they need that spark, that thing that you are. And I'm going to get into what I want to speak to you about. When when you're talking to people and you're talking to, well, talk to a lot of businesses and you also talk to people. You I mean, how do you tell them just what, like, you and I are talking here, to get off your seat and start running?
So I it kind of depends. I would have to look at, if you're already walking, then you start running. If you have the personality who wants to run straight, that's great. If you've kind of gone through the pandemic fear into a bit of a freeze mode, then we get you first walking before we get you running.
Hmm.
So we have to evaluate what the next correct movement for you is, but it's stretching enough. But if you've just been sitting at home, hardly been leaving the house, not been working on your business and just watching TV, and then even getting you out, I'm just using walking as an example, but getting you out every day walking is going to make such a big difference.
Hmm.
And really, it's like, actually, have you thought about what it's costing you to stay stuck? And the longer you stay stuck, the harder it is to come out of that, because I've experienced it. And then your body goes into a deep freeze, you get into depression, you get into anxiety, and you think by being home, your depression and your anxiety, you're managing them. Actually, they get worse. So when you're not interacting with people, when you're not out there, in being at home in your head, I think it's Tony Robbins who says, when you're not growing, you're dying. It's a bit
That's
extreme, but metaphorically. So really, it's like, what is it costing you to stay stuck? And people haven't necessarily thought about what it's costing them to stay stuck. There is a cost to that. So really, you know, even if you try something and you fail, it doesn't mean you fail. It means, oh, now I have more information. So the next time I do this, I will use that information and it will be successful faster, because you always get information that you can use into your next venture and your next venture and your next venture.
I got to. This will make you laugh. I mean, okay, you're. People need people. People need contact. That is something.
100%.
That is something that no human being, and now listen to me out there, people. Human like you and me, even my dog, for instance, likes to go out and see his friends. These are things that we need. It's a human trait, something that we love in ourselves, and that's something that we like. But here's the but. But you go out on a date. So what do you bring to a date? A mask? I mean, or a lot of times that for years and years and years. I mean, I'm old enough in it to go all the way back into the late '50s, early '60s. And Ed, what did you have in your pocket when you went out for a date? Today, it's a test kit. Okay, come here. Let me test you out over here. 15 minutes.
Oh God,
When I can hold your hand. I'm serious. I mean, this is. I'm waiting for the people
it's
that are
really hard.
that
Yeah,
are comedians that are on TV to get this through their heads. What do you do today for a date? There's dating sites all over the place, and I'm not gonna be crazy, Ned, on everybody. I look at them all because I want to see what people are looking for, what people are doing. I want to see the other side. There's a lot of stories out there. There's the ones that walk in the street. There's the ones that are on a dating thing because they can't walk in the street, and then there's the ones that who don't walk in the street at all. And that's, so you got three separate ballparks going on there. Businesses work the same way. And it's crazy that I'm making this alliance sort of ideas, but it's true. I mean, some of them are like down here in Florida. Like we have businesses that are open, but they don't have anybody working in them. It's hard to get people. There's hiring signs all over the place. So
Really?
that I'm serious. Every
That's
single business
insane.
has hiring signs in front of them. Every single.
People, if you are at home, get out and don't have a job, get out there, get working. You will feel so much better.
But for years, the government gave everybody that was on unemployment $300 more on the federal side. So a lot of people made more money staying at home than they did going to work. And for so long, for about a year, I guess that happened, they got used to it. So it's that thing that you have to click inside their heads so that they get off their butts and get out there and start working again. And
And it's
business,
back to the, you might think you're getting more money. If you're at home, maybe setting up a business, that's different.
yes,
If you're at home, just wasting your time getting that money, there's an emotional cost, there's a well-being cost, there's a mental health cost, there's a cost of when you do want to get back out there, it will take you longer because everything will have just slowed down so much. So, you know, whilst
it's
on the surface it feels good, energetically, physically, mentally, it really is not. There's long-term costs of this.
just getting out could change your attitude overnight.
Overnight, seeing someone, feeling useful, moving your body, interacting,
Hmm?
laughing, all those things that you miss when you're at home. Yeah, the costs are huge. So I do hope people realize that. But I think even in the US, most of that help is now stopped, right? Or is it still ongoing?
It just stopped.
Yeah, okay. So
Just stopped. But then again, the things that they're doing over here, I mean, they're money thing, and they got bills going on over here, and I'm sure you guys see it on BBC and that all the time of what we're doing over here. They got bills going that are so big, so expensive, and so stupid because there's things on them that like I don't know, like giving extra money to rescue dog places, but they're talking billions. I
right.
mean, these kind of things are completely out of. I mean, it's going to be we're going to go from a pandemic into people being broke because their taxes are going to go up so high. So I mean, that's we'll be doing the show again in a while. So the other thing that I wanted to point out was on number 5 of your transition going out. It says outcome, and I like that part. It's new habits. Go ahead.
Yep. So the outcome is obviously the whole point of doing a transition. You've got to have an end in sight. You've got to see the difference. You've got to know everything you built. You've got to we always do it before and after. We measure whatever issues you want to overcome and how you're feeling before and after, because if there's no change, then you haven't really transformed,
Mm.
and I have done my job. So, in the new habits, it's what's your new self-talk? Is it a lot more positive? Is it more uplifting? Is it more, let's go, let's do this? Has it got more fight in it? So it's a new self-talk. It's you should have a bunch of success tools. We talked about, things like research, things like feedback, and not taking it personally, actually using it as information to be even more successful. People are even scared of asking other people for feedback. So if you do get feedback, it's like gold. So, so you see, and then there's a bunch of success tools as part of the growth and part of the reconditioning your mindset
Mm.
that you should have and that you can carry with you anytime. There should be a whole new confidence. And I always say, confidence is not, people sometimes think, people come to me and say, I'm not a confident person. And I say, no, confidence isn't who you are. Confidence is a perception of who you are, it's what you think you are. And everybody can change their confidence by the way they think and the way they act. And when you're taking risks, when you're like, I don't care what it takes, I'm going to go for it, that feeling in you starts to naturally grow. So confidence isn't a thing you are, it's just a feeling you have. And like all feelings, you can change that feeling. And the first step, again, if you do nothing else, I used to, honestly, I used to be really shy and I used to go around saying I lack confidence until one day a friend pulled me aside. She said, do you know what? Out of all of us, I think you have a lot more confidence than a lot of us. And honestly, can you just stop saying that about yourself? And then it just shook me. And then I realized, oh, I'm saying this thing, but actually it might not even be true. But I've just labeled myself as I lack confidence. That's not what other people see, and actually wasn't true anymore. And literally I had to just change that whole identity, and that's not who I am.
It's
So
also the way you deliver it, because I can hear it in your voice. I mean, you're someone who wants to help people, who is comfortable with helping people, and excited to help people. All those things are in your voice. Forget the right. I mean, you could be behind a wall talking. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
can feel it in your voice. I mean, but
Oh,
that's
thank
you know
you.
that's the radio business. I mean, that's what we do. We actually read, the people that we're talking to, and you get so used to it. As in my history in that, I used to read crowds, you know,
Oh wow.
and I mean, when you have to do something like that, I mean, now you're going. You talk about intuitive, forget it, throw that one out. It's way over the top of that. But when people hear you, well, when people hear anyone, if you get a person who has the confidence and they've changed and they have a goal and they know what they want to do and they speak to people about those things, people will feel what they're saying. They may listen, but they'll feel it. The feeling is something that pushes you off the cliff. You know, that's when I used to say a long time ago. I used to go, "You're mine." The crowd was mine. I owned them, and that's just the way it was because this is what you want to do. You don't want to lead people around by the nose. You don't want a bunch of sheeple, but you want to change people's ideas and what they're thinking about. And if you pull them out of that cave into the sun, all of a sudden things change for everybody. I mean, yeah,
Exactly. And then this is it. It's they change in themselves and then they don't realize as they change in
yeah,
themselves,
mhm,
their family changes with them or people around them
yep.
start changing. Or unfortunately, sometimes where you're working no longer suits you. But that's okay. If you grow, you have to be in the right place that's gonna allow you to grow as well.
I said it on a show the other day. It's a love pandemic. Exactly what it. And I'm sorry, there's no vaccine. You're dead. That's it. Now,
Well, it's I think change is always good, right? Because it makes you
of
question
course,
so many things. So, and truthfully, people always say, "Oh, if I hadn't changed that, that wouldn't have broken down a relationship, a job, where they live." And I'm like, hand on heart, tell me it was amazing. It was probably already broken, but you changing it just meant
yeah.
you could no longer tolerate it. It was
But
already broken.
yeah, you learn. You learn as you go along. Now, you also have empowerment coaching, the one,
And
two.
that's linked to the confidence coaching. It's empowering yourself. So you empower yourself. It's the mindset. So you empower yourself with the habits and the actions and the mindset to say, do you know what? If I want to do this, there's no reason I can't do this. And most likely plenty of other people are doing it. If they can do it, there's no reason why I can't do it. And I'm going to find what it takes for me to be able to do that.
And you
It's
also have and you also have mindset and thought leadership.
the thought leadership is literally about what we touched on it with the example of I think I used the garbage and I said, you want to be the people who want to make the difference that everybody follows. Thought leadership is, I don't like the way things are happening on the planet. What is a better way of thinking? What is a better way of doing this? And I know not that many people are on board now, but I'm going to take this message and I'm going to try and change people's minds so that I can actually help people think differently and start a movement. You want to be the thought leader. You want to be the person who's going to start the change.
You know, you should put quotations around that. You should be the person that. I mean, it's like that's it. If everybody did that, we'd be better off.
Right? So I always say be the change you want to see. So if you want to be the change that you want to see, if you want to see something different, start with yourself. Start being that different person, that different thing. And then you'll see how to take it wider.
We've had that show on here. The
Have
name of
you?
the show was "Be the Change."
Oh, I'll check it up. I'm sure everything they say will very much resonate with what I believe. I will definitely look that one up.
Anybody listening in that, just put into YouTube, just put Pyramid One Radio, and you'll probably come out to the channel, our channel, and you look for Dr. Nozoa. Now,
Okay.
he passed away in June from
Oh,
COVID-19.
oh,
He had an underlying problem and everything else in it, and somebody. It was a big loss to us because the man was he was so cool. Here's a man who was blind,
oh, wow.
lost the first eye to a tree that fell on his car and went through the window. Lost the second eye by a domestic violence um, issue that was in a neighbor's house next door to him, and he went over
Wow.
to see what was going on to his house, and the guy shot a gun, and the bullet happened to go through his temple.
Oh, gosh.
So now here's a guy that came through all of that, and yet he was on the radio with me for over a year.
Wow.
Fast.
That is an inspiring story. I mean, if we think we don't have what it takes,
Exactly. There is
and
nothing.
somebody like that doesn't stop themselves, I mean, that
That's
is a
why
very inspiring story.
I tell people all the time, and that you want to turn around and say, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do the other thing, and that it's too hard. It's blah 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 blah, and it goes on and on. Go into the channel and listen to his shows at the way he talks. I mean, this show, first of all, and it's been for the last almost 11 years, built around love. That is everything. There's only one word in the vocabulary to me. It's love, because love it contains so many things. Like I love to go to, like for instance, I love to go to work. I love to make things. I love to invent things. I love to make people happy. I love to do this for people, and it just goes on and on and on like a snowball coming down a hill. These are things that he built his whole show around. And yes, we've lost him, but for people that listen to the shows, he's not dead. He's not gone. He's here. He's with you all the time. He's in your
Oh,
head. He's in your head. And if you listen to him once in a while, this whole world would be better off.
I would definitely look this show up straight after this call. Actually, I have a bit of time. I'm gonna do that. That sounds
You
like an
said,
incredible show.
I sent you the link, by the way, so you can go right in through the link.
I've got the link, so I will definitely look.
Now, I want to tell everybody that anybody else, anyone who wants to know or see or wants a link, wants links to get into this, plus this show, just write to Bob Charles Show at live.com and I will send it to you. We start at 3 o'clock in the morning. So hey, we're, we're, we send things all over the place. Now, in ending, tell me, what do you want people to do? Are they going to call you? Do they send you an email? Do they tweet you? Do it, whatever.
The best thing to do is to, if you go on my website, it's www.unlimitedtransformations.com, or you can email me, Meera at unlimitedtransformations.com. And if you email me, I will definitely pick up emails and, happy to have a chat with anybody who's looking for any kind of transformation, empowerment, thought leadership, And I'm really happy to jump on a call with you and have a quick chat and see how we can take things forward if we can.
Now, to everybody out there too, she can do what we're doing right now anywhere in the world. If you're interested, you have a problem, you want to talk about something, all you have to do is, and I'm giving you on the YouTube, it's going to have that address so that they can get in touch with you through the website. You can jump on just like we are right now on Skype, any place in the whole world. There is nothing, nowhere that holds anybody back from getting the help they need now.
It's so easy on Skype, Zoom, any online modes that people prefer. I work with clients all over the world. We always work out the right time zones, and we find suitable times, and we work together. Zoom works really well because you can see each other, you can speak, you can record, so often clients then have the ability to go back and listen to the conversation, because obviously so much comes up in the conversations that you might want to play back. So really easy to work now online, and I would love to hear from people who might want to change, might want some help. So do reach out. I would love to have a chat with you.
That address is again
Meera at unlimitedtransformations.com, or my website, if you want to check me out, is www.unlimitedtransformations.com. And I look forward to speaking to some of you.
And it has been an honor to have you on the show. People like you, I wish there was 100,000 just like you, but there isn't. That's too bad.
My pleasure to be on the show. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such an amazing chat. I really enjoyed our conversation.
We had a great time in that. We covered a lot of bases. We covered a lot of things. And what the shows and that we do here and that we try to bring questions to people's minds. Like, ooh, and then they ask themselves questions, or they reach out. They reach out here, they reach out to you.
So I leave them with this question then. I always say, what in your life is calling you to change?
Good question. Good
question.
question.
Think about that, people. What in your life is calling you to change?
Well, there you go. Again, thank you very, very much. It's been an honor having you on the show. And like we always say, God bless y'all. Bob Charles.